talking with Clare Bettison from Douglas East. It's about what's happening at the schools. It's a Douglas situation about catchment areas. And I know you've got an opinion on it, but I thought we haven't really touched on this at all. I'd like an overview of what exactly is being proposed and what you think about it, obviously. But they want to change the catchment areas in Douglas. Is that right? I mean,
yeah, very specifically for Scoill and Jubilee. So at the minute, children from Scoill and Jubilee go to Ballacameen when they finish, and the catchment areas for the secondary schools are based on the primary schools they've attended. So that's been happening. The department have decided that because they've identified an increase or an overcapacity situation at Ballacameen, they want to take one of those primary schools and move them to St Ninians, which they report is under capacity. The one they've identified for that is Scoill and Jubilee. And so they've decided that for the current Year 6s, they will get a choice where the parents and children can decide between St Ninians and between Ballacameen for the Scoill and Jubilee Year 6s now. And for the children in Year 5 and below, they will be going to St Ninians, and that won't be an option then. There will be some discretion over people who've got siblings, assuming that the department honour that current situation in the New Education Act. But that is the proposed change.
What's going on behind the scenes? Is one more popular than the other or something? What's going on? One's got too many people wanting to go to it?
Yeah, so at the minute, St Ninians is, according to the Minister's responses yesterday, is 400 under capacity, give or take, and Ballacameen is 400 over capacity.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
So they're seeing this as a simple shift, but obviously what they've not taken into account is the fact they have failed to consult with parents. They failed to communicate with parents. The first that most parents learned about this was on social media Thursday evening.
The press release went out like 5:20 something at night
as well,
didn't it?
5:28 was the time on the press release issued to
Yes.
Timor members, which was the press release going out, and that was on a Thursday evening. That was then taken by some social media sites who then shared that information, and the parents of the children who were affected by this learnt was on social media. And obviously there was a great deal of upset, there was confusion, people wondering would it affect them, would it not affect them, and obviously there was a failure on the department to actually speak directly to those parents in advance of this decision to discuss how this would affect them. And on the surface, St Ninians, I think we often think of the site actually on the crossroads, the main St Ninians school. What we forget is that the majority of these children will spend the first 4 years in Bemahake. So we're going to have a large number of children having to go towards Onken, which is rush hour, is not a nice route to do anyway. And the parents trying to get back in some cases into Douglas to be able to go to work. We're going to see an increase in bus usage. Some of those will be buses that will be provided by the Education Department for those children who are eligible. In other cases, the families will need to find the money to pay for the bus service. But the opportunity to walk will be removed for some of those children. Not all, because there are some where actually it may suit them to go to the Bemahake site and then St Ninians. The concern for me is that they're not being given that choice after this year. Now, the Minister did go some way to backpedal a little, I felt, in questions in House of Keys when we raised an emergency question, because in the press release it said the current Year 5s and on will go to St Ninians. He's changed that seemingly to may go to St Ninians, depending on whether they have an uptake.
Right.
But they're going to make that decision now once this current year have gone through to see how many pick St Ninians and how many pick Ballacameen. My concern is that still doesn't take into account that level of dialogue with the parents as to why, what their concerns are, how this would affect them, and what can be done to mitigate against that. There's been none of that.
We constantly have this sort of thing about lack of communication. Where's it? I mean, it does sound odd. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a great reason, and we'll find out. But why do you think that it was put out in such a manner then, without this consultation?
I genuinely don't know. I'm very disappointed by it. I think it shows a disregard for the parents and the children and the very real concerns. I mean, my 4-year-old's already excited about going to Ballacameen. To put this in context, children know from a very young age, and he's seeing his buddy getting ready to go, because they do Year 6 buddies at his school, ready to go to Ballacameen, and he can't wait to go. So to say to Year 5s, when some of them have already gone and done the open days at Ballacameen and have already had a level of engagement with Ballacameen, actually that choice is being taken away from you and you're now going to a different school, I think is incredibly worrying. And I think to miss that point, from the department is a huge oversight, and I can't overstate that. I really think that it shows a a lack of empathy, a lack of taking seriously the concerns of people whose children are going through one of the most important parts of their formative years through the education system, which we see well enough can be difficult at the best of times.
Okay, but one school is oversubscribed massively, one is under, so it should have not got to this stage in the first place, I'm guessing.
No,
right?
and I mean, I'm going to be asking a question.
You got no question?
Yeah, I haven't finalised it because it will be in the next House of Keys. But to actually look at the last 10 years worth of data for Ballacomene and the projected, because we know which schools have got which students already, so we know which ones feed the secondary schools. So let's look at that in the bigger picture, and then we can get a better idea. Why was this not picked up on earlier?
And do you want to halt this now? Do you want to pull the whole thing? Is that ideally what you'd like to see happen?
I'm not against a choice. Actually, I think having a choice for parents, so that if they'd like to pick St Ninians, that makes eminent sense. If we've got an overcapacity issue at Ballacomene, let's give parents the choice, because that may be just enough to take the pressure off Ballacomene. What I struggle with is this: you will go. It's no choice. You know, you're very close to this decision and this change already, and we're taking that option away. And I think when we look at the new proposed education bill, which is currently going out to its second phase of consultation, one of the things that was asked in there was around catchment areas and asking whether those who responded felt that there should be choice in catchment areas. At the minute, although the department is often not approving out of catchment requests, in fact there are very few reasons why they can actually say no to an out of catchment request. One is related to a child who's previously been expelled from a school. One is related to a child who's got extra needs who can't be supported in the school that they're looking to go to. And the third option is that the school is already oversubscribed and it would negatively prejudice the children within the current catchment areas. And I think those three are actually quite reasonable. But I also think that gives enough leeway that should you make an out of catchment request and it suits, you know, your needs, the child's needs, that's available. The results to the education bill consultation showed that the majority of respondents were in favour of less enforcement around catchment areas, and yet the department have decided not to listen to that and to carry on with the bill as proposed, which makes you question the whole point of the consultation. Why put the question in if you're not going to listen?
I think
to
many times people think about consultations, but there's already some sort of letter writing campaign or something going on, isn't there? Some parents are writing their names on forms and lists to complain about this action.
Yeah, and there's a petition has been started from parents of Scoill and Jubilee already who are frustrated about this, the choice being taken away. There are, interestingly, of all the schools that this could go to, of course, now the children at Scoill and Jubilee will do the infants juniors, and will also then do two separate parts of their secondary education. So these children will have been to 4 schools throughout their education because of the way that their Scoill and Jubilee is split and St Ninians is split. So there's 4 levels of transition where most children only have 2 different schools.
So advisory rather than compulsory is what you're looking for?
I absolutely think if we've got a problem we must address it, and I'm not shying away from that. My feeling is that we should see if we can do that organically first before, you know, trying to use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And
this is the carrot rather than the stick in all this.
Absolutely. And you know, let's talk to the parents. Let's absolutely bring them on board. Let's, you know, it frustrates me time and again that government failed to communicate. And I recognise.
Welcome to politics.
You know. But I feel sometimes that I didn't know either. you know, and first you hear about it, and this is the sort of thing where I think constituency MHK should be involved. Certainly the teachers at the school should be involved, the parents, the children. These are big decisions, and I'm not saying I can't support department on these sort of decisions, but I'm saying that if the process isn't followed properly, it makes it incredibly difficult for me to be behind something when I feel that actually the information wasn't given in a timely manner. It wasn't, in fact, in this case, given at all, and it was simply a press release saying this is what we're doing, and you know, basically find a way to work with it, which has been less than helpful.